Dear friends, in this video we will try to learn about array, how to declare an array, and there are different use cases of array in shell script, and there are various semantics for that, and I would like you to go through that. So I'll teach some of the basics. There are a lot in arrays in terms of bash shell, but this should give you enough head start to look on your own and pursue some of those concepts. So let's start with the very basic. I will create a file, and in that file I'll try to declare some array, execute it and show it how it works. So I have this VI editor, and I will start. The first thing is bang characters bin bash. So this shebang tells you, as I have shown in my previous video, that what shell you are using. Now how do you declare an array in bash? Array's name typically, again, the name of an array typically follows the same syntactical rules as for C, in the sense it cannot start with underbar, it cannot it cannot start with underbar, it cannot start with a number, but it can start with an underscore. So let's see, let's declare an array. So let's suppose my array name is array, and equals to, remember shell script is little picky about spaces, so if I try to give like this is wrong, it will not work for me. So you have to be careful about those things. And I wanted to declare an array within bracket. If I say hello world, how am I doing, so this would be treated as array at index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically this is an array of 6, length 6 here. So what if I do something like echo dollar array 0? This is going to print me hello at index 0, and similar wise if I print like 1, 2, it would print me all those strings, and I'll say 4, not 3, just I skip that. Now if I run this, I would get the output hello world how, and then m is skipped because I have not print index 3. I am not printing index 5 also. The index starts at 0 and ends 5. The total number of elements in this is 6. So very simple case. This might not be very useful, but sometimes it might be that you have some kind of a string and you want to tokenize that string and create an array out of that. In those cases it would be useful. The second format is, what if I wanted to print all the elements in an array in one single shot rather than saying array 0, 1, 2, 3. So is there a way I can do that? Yes. What you do is you say echo dollar array, and then in bracket you give a star. So what a star means, you print everything. So not to make this confusing temporarily, I will just comment this out so that only one of them gets printed and the output should be something very similar or same. So if I run this, you get something very similar. Now why do I get it in a one single line rather than new line? Because what happens when you do echo, it preprints a new line. So after each of those strings you get a new line, hello world how, but here it's just one entire string. It's treated as one entire string, and that's the reason you are getting it in one single line, but it's basically the same, you're referencing it. Now how do I try to reference each individual elements in this array? So instead of doing that, you can do something like similar like this. If you have not gone through the for loop, I would say that look at the for loop syntax for bash shell. I might be covering in my later videos, but for the time being, the syntax is like this. For items, this is a variable, you could have named anything, ijkl in, which is a keyword, and what is your array? So your array is dollar array and star. Make sure that you prepend with dollar. Dollar means you're trying to take a value out of that, you're trying to reference the value present in this array. If you don't give array dollar, it will not be proper, you might not get the right result. And then for loop is always start with do, end with done, and within that you can write any of your statements. So I can say echo dollar items. Remember, I have to say items because each of the elements in this array I'm taking it in a temporary variable items, and then I can do some work on that. So here I'm just doing an echo for the items just to show, and then if I run this program, you see I get exactly same output, the entire array I have got here. So now this looks simple. Now there is something similar. Now let's again, I wanted to comment this out so that my screen doesn't get cluttered with lots of output and making you not able to understand the basic concepts. So how do I get indexes of all these arrays? So there is one more syntax for this, and that syntax is something like this. So I'll just copy paste these 4 lines and try to do something very similar. Now here instead of array, I would say not array, and let's see what this prints me. So this is supposed to print me the indexes of all the elements. So if I go and run this, it will tell me 0 1 2 3 4 5. Now again this, I'm sorry, I clicked the now again this might not be very useful. You might be thinking what I will do with the index, but sometimes you might want to refer an element at index 3rd. So what will you do? So you can put some kind of a statements, conditions or something here. So now if you want to take out one element at index 3 in this entire array, you could do something similar like if items, and this dollar items, and I'll say equals to at index 3, so which is 4th index, basically 0 1 2 3. And if loop, you have to remember that if loop starts with then and ends with 5 is opposite of if. So and within this you can write your statements here. So any statements, any conditions after that you want to write, you can put it here. Now I can say something echo at index. Remember my item was giving me an index, so I can say at index dollar items. You have to say dollar items, and at index dollar items element is dollar array, because I have to get the element from the array. So I would say dollar array, and at which indices is items, but I have to say dollar items, and you can get those elements here, and you have to terminate with the double quotes because I'm starting with a double quote, so double quote has to be terminated with a double quote. If I run this, see I get at industry the element is am. So if you see here 0 1 2 3, and this is what it got printed. So and I can do something with am. So if you want to get a particular indices, you can do like this. So this is again useful in when you want to do something with the index of a script. So this will be helpful for you. Now the next thing I wanted to tell you is, if you want to know how many elements are there in this array, so the syntax is again very easy. You have to say echo. Echo is just for printing. You may not do echo, you might just take the values and put it in another variable and do something, but here I just wanted to show on the screen. So you can say echo dollar, and then you can say hash my array, which is my original array, the name of the array, and you say star. Now if I print this, let's see, it will tell me there are 6 elements. So the length of this array is 6 0 1 2 3 4 5. So 6 elements are there in this array. Now, what if I want to get the length of any of the elements? Now, hello is like 5 characters, world is 5 characters, how is 3 characters. If I want to get a length of any of these, so I would have to say echo dollar hash array, and then I have to give the index. Now if I want to give hello for hello, I give index 0, and if I try to print this, it would give me 5 characters. What if at index 3, which is sorry 0 1 2, at index 2, how is 3 characters? So I say at index 2 I would get 3. Basically, how is 3 characters? HOW, which is 3 characters, and this is how is presented index 2 in the array. So one important thing you have to know is that when you're referencing an array like this, you have to give in this brace. We'll come to the concept of brace, why brace is needed later on. One more thing, you might have seen that here I have given a brace for dollar items, but here I have not given any brace for dollar items. I could have equivalently give brace. So to be short and precise in this video about brace, this basically helps in isolating that this is the complete variable name. It suppose if the variable name is something like, and you're prepending some characters, so what will happen is here it would take it as dollar items underscore var, and this variable might not be present. But if you do like this, what it means is it will prepend dollar items, and then it will expand to whatever value it has and add underscore var to that. So it is always safe to put a brace for any of the variables you are trying to use. It's always safe. Okay, so far so good. Now we have one more syntax to consider, and which is like array at the rate sign. So what are those used for? Let's see. So basically, when you are in a double quote, string and you are trying to reference n number of elements, you can say with either star or with at the rate. But there is a difference between star and at the rate. When you are referencing with star, which means it's a single word within a quoted string, it will be treated as a single word within a quoted string. So I'll write it for you. Single word within quoted string. And when you're trying to reference this is referencing each individual items. So what it means is we'll go through it in some period of time. In the meantime, I'll comment this out not to make a syntactical error when I'm compiling my when I'm interpreting my code in shell. Now let's see. So if I wanted to say something like this, for I in, I say dollar, and within brace I would say index not array, and I would say star. So this is my brace star, and I say do echo dollar array, and then within a dollar I. Remember, I can't give I because I have to expand like the value of the I. Now if I print this will print me again like this. So at each of the index I take the index, and based on the index I try to interpret the value. Now our next example is something similar, but I wanted to go through it because there are so many variants, and if you have the concepts clear, it would be easy to understand this. Now if I have another array which is called ARR, and this array is like this, within a quoted string I have in my previous array as ARRY, so I say ARRY and at the rate. Now ARR is my new array which is derived from ARR, so whatever the element is there in this will be present in ARR. So if I want to do something similar here now, I'll copy these 4 lines and I will paste it here. And I would say like this. So now I would be referring ARR, not array, just for clarity. Now if I give this, then it will print me as say hello world, how am I doing. So you can see that within a quoted string, this is like treated as each individual element. Now since I'm giving echo by default prevents a new line for each of these. So if I try to use star here, it would not make much sense, it would not differentiate much here, but I can do something again, something different like this. Let's see. So if I say here for items in dollar array, and here I will give at the rate, but this entire thing is now in quotes. Remember, this quote is just important, so we are trying to see what it gives. And if I say echo dollar items, and for any for loop I have to give do. So my mistake, I tend to give a do, and then I say done. Now if I try to print this, it would print me like this, same thing. It would print me exactly the same thing. So it treats each individual elements. So that's the reason it has printed in a new line. Now let's suppose if I give this as star. So do you think the result would remain the same? You see, when we give a star, and this entire thing is just treated as one big string rather than individual elements present in an array. If I remove these double quotes, then it changes, then it becomes the same. It will be printing each of this in a new line. So that is the reason I said hash in this hash is comments here. So when you are referencing a variable of the entire array with a star, and if that is present within a quoted string, then this will treat it as a single word within a quoted string, or otherwise new word. So if I print like this, it's a single word, so this will be printing me as a single word, as you have seen. However, if I'm trying to put it as at the rate, then it will reference as each individual element. So let's clarify this once again. So this within a quoted string, this is treating me as one big string rather than array, but at the rate is bringing me as individual elements of an array. So if I want to do something with an elements with an array, I can do something, put some conditions that if items equals to world or hello, I do something. However, if I write star, I will not be able to do that, because for me then that will be just a very big string rather than individual elements. So far so good, it looks good. Now how do I know what is the number of, so based on the array, the number of arguments which you pass to the shell script is also similar. Let's suppose I pass 10 arguments to this shell script. So how do I know how many elements are present in my shell script? So the number of elements, so the number of arguments passed to a shell script is denoted by hash. So dollar means you have to take the value of that. Let's suppose if I run this program, it gives me 0. I have not passed any arguments, even though the file name is passed as an argument by default. It is not counted here. In C, by default the file name is also counted as one argument. Here also it's passed, but it doesn't show that as a user supplied argument. However, if I pass the argument as 1, 2, 3, 4, this time I am passing 4 arguments from my command line to this file text.sh, and it would print 4. So which means $hash is 4 now. I have passed 4 arguments. So you can put a conditions, like suppose you are writing a program and you want user to supply an argument to your shell script. you can make conditional statements like this, that if the argument is less than 4, you reject with certain errors. So I can say something like, if dollar hash and less than is LT, and I would say less than 4, so then you can say echo errors in args, and otherwise you might do to try to give something like else, or it might not be needed, all is good, and then say 5. Now if it's less than 4, it should give you error in argument, so it says all is good. If you give 3 arguments, it gives you error in argument, and after error in argument you might want to do something like exit, so that it doesn't do any further processing, maybe some kind of a return. So those kind of things you can do. Now if I want to know what is the total arguments which is supplied here, I can just print with echo dollar at the rate. So dollar at the rate gives me the entire arguments which I have passed. So let's see what this guy is printing for me. If I say this 4, of course it gives me error because I have put a condition, so I'm supplying 4 arguments. So if you see here, it is printing all is good, and after that it prints dollar at the rate. So dollar at the rate means it is giving me all the arguments which I have supplied. The argument which I have supplied is 1 2 3 4, so it is printing me all the arguments. So that's all for now for array handlings in shell. I would come up with more detailed and advanced shell scripting, arrays and programming. So I'm trying to make all these videos slowly at my free time. So if you like my video and want me to do more, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to my website or to my channel, and I'll try my best to come up with more quality videos. Thank you very much.